shock. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is urging that his impeachment trial be dismissed. Trump's legal team arguing that holding him accountable for the Capitol riot is constitutionally flawed and absurd. It's only the fourth time an American president's impeachment is being sought. Two of these trials involve Donald Trump. Live to Washington, early morning there, U.S. correspondent Simon Marks. Good morning to you. How strong a case do the Democrats have?
Well, they think they've got a very strong case, Jeremy. I mean, on the face of it, it's a slam dunk. Donald Trump, on the morning of January the 6th, made an inflammatory speech, they argue, to thousands of his conspiracy theory-believing supporters, telling them that at that very moment Congress was gathering. Mike Pence was in the building, the former Vice President of the United States, ready to certify the outcome of America's presidential election that, of course, Joe Biden won. And he told his supporters that they were all going to march to Capitol Hill in a bid to remonstrate and complain over the certification process because, of course, Donald Trump insisted that he had won an election that he had lost. He also told the crowd that Mike Pence had powers that Mike Pence did not possess to block the certification of the election result. And what happened 90 minutes later? The violent invasion and ransacking of the congressional building that left 5 people dead by the end of the day. So Democrats argue this is a very simple case to prove. Republican lawyers are advancing a whole series of different arguments ahead of the trial. First of all, that the proceeding itself is unconstitutional. Secondly, that the members of the crowd that went to Capitol Hill acted off their own bat. It had nothing to do with anything that President Trump said. Oh, but by the way, if it did have anything to do with anything that President Trump said, what he said, his lawyers argue, is covered by the First Amendment to the American Constitution, which guarantees freedom of speech in the United States. This is all going to play out until probably early next week, but at the end of the day, it will take 17 Republicans to cross the aisle and vote with the Democrats to convict former President Trump, and that does not appear to be in the offing.
But whichever way you look at it, Donald Trump at the end of this process does finish up more humiliated than ever.
Well, not necessarily, because he could be not just the first American president ever to have been impeached twice and to have gone on trial twice in the U.S. Senate. He could end up being the first U.S. president ever to have been acquitted at both of those trials. And Donald Trump's personal strategy is to lie very low over the course of the next few days. I mean, of course, he's helped in that regard by the fact that he's been banned from Twitter. So it's much harder to find his pronouncements now than it was just a few weeks ago. But his strategy is to lie low, get through this, secure an acquittal, which seems at this point, barring surprises, absolutely guaranteed, and then light the blue touch paper for the revival of his political career. Remember, throughout the next few days, Jeremy, Donald Trump, even out of office and somewhat out of the public eye, remains the most powerful figure in Republican politics. He believes he's got a future, but he can only have that future if he's acquitted at this trial.
And to that point, very quickly, Simon Marks, there's also the potential for whatever happens at the end of this week for the country to be split even further.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is, as you know, the most polarized moment in modern American history, even at the end of several very polarized years. Donald Trump's supporters all over the country are piling pressure on Republicans in Congress not to vote to convict. They want an acquittal, and they're warning those Republicans, if they convict Donald Trump at this trial, many of them would like to because they'd love to be shot of Donald Trump, those Republican senators, will face the music when it's their turn to seek re-election.
I suspect it's going to be a long broadcast day for you, Simon Marks, live for us in Washington, D.C.